What's up, Space Engineers? Motherfucker Jones here, and I am here again to bring you a video of the ships I've been working on. Today we're going to be today we're going to be looking at small grid, oh my gosh, large grid ships in a smaller scale. Excuse my voice, I've been having a kind of lost my voice, and I'm on vacation, so I've been trying to chill out. But upon looking at a few communities, I've been seeing a lot of people question about player-controlled missiles and all. So I figured I'd go ahead and give you guys a little bit of a walkthrough on mine. This is the Gigaton. All the blue parts are in heavy armor, the gray parts are in light armor. Starting from the back here, I'll walk you guys through it. Starting from the back there, we got a hydrogen thruster and a sensor to trigger the warhead of this stuff. You got your small hydrogen tank back there that's connected up to a small cargo container, so you can, put explosives in there if you wanted to. The connector is there so you can get the fuel in the hydrogen tank. You got yourself a battery, your gyroscope, which is connected to the back of the remote control there, and then the 3 warheads that act as the load for this thing, the payload. And there is a camera tucked in there, so when you are controlling this thing via remote control via the antennas and stuff like that, you can have a good sight aperture. It works really well. Really good hit chance on that. Anyway, this is the Comet. This is actually the Keen Software House's Gunship V2, or Gunboat rather, I believe. I took a lot of inspiration off that, but instead of making it ion, I went ahead and gutted it and made it hydrogen, and yes, it actually is functionable. There's about 5 small hydrogen tanks in here, and it is quite fast. So you could load it up full of hydrogen and probably be flying for, I'd say about 8 to 10 minutes, depending on how viciously you use that thrust, but it's quite a maneuverable fighter. Made a few different augmentations to the gunboat that they had. Instead of putting the frontward-facing rocket launcher, which cost a hell of a ton of PCU, I just took that out and put the rocket turret there and added some, a little bit more interior turrets on the top. Basically the same thing, just switched over to hydrogen. Anyway, this is the Phantom, and I do want to say that this is only a concept form. I have to work on it, specifically with the hydrogen fuel, because if you can kind of tell just by looking at it, I went balls out on the thrust. And it chews through it like nothing, obviously. If you look in there, there's no large hydrogen tanks or anything. I have to really re-look at this build and maybe put 2 or 3 hydrogen tanks in there for obvious reasons. But anyway, this is the reason why I wanted to build it, because I figured, with a large grid ship and you have access to those large thrusters. Someone forgot to leave the ship on recharge. There we go. Turn the batteries on. Anyway, with all that thrust, the thing would be damn quick. And so, yeah. It is 0 to 100 just like that. And it is excuse me again. It is as responsive as my thumbstick input is. So, I'll try and do a little bit of a flyby through these asteroids just to give you a showcase of how maneuverable this damn thing is, if it could fly. I mean, it obviously would run out of fuel by this point in time, but I'm in creative, so it won't do that to us here yet. But yeah, it goes wherever you go. It stops on a dime, obviously, obvious reasons. A lot of potential in a build like this. Just have to make it a little bit bigger with the hydrogen tanks, and I think I got something really effective here. I mean, maybe even heavy armor it up. I don't even know how you'd be able to hit something that fast. But whatever. Just a concept. And I really don't think that it should need that much guns and turrets on it. I'll probably be looking at that too. As well as these airtight doors. I don't know why I like using them so much. It doesn't need to be airtight. I'm really weird. I think about things that don't need to be thought of. Anyway, moving on to the Raptor Gunship. Now, this isn't as nimble as the Phantom, obviously. I don't think anything is, but packs quite the payload. Kind of a light battle Corvette, if you would. It's on the heavier side as far as maneuverability. I'll probably replace those little pods in there with rocket pods on the side. But It's just a little too heavy. So to compensate for that, what I kind of did is made a fighter port carrier on top there, so you can just kind of dock a fighter. Hopefully not too big, because those back thrusters might burn you. But you could dock a fighter up there and maybe use this in tandem with that, so that this can kind of take the brunt of the battle while the fighter actually takes out the, the turrets of your enemy or whatever, how military strategy is. So as you can see, it's not that fast, even with the 2 hydro thrusters. It's 1.24 million? Yeah, pretty heavy little gunship, I'd say, it's got a lot of heavy armor on it, to be honest, on the top layer there, in blue, mostly heavy armor. For obvious reasons, that's kind of like the framing of the ship that keeps the whole thing together. Not really important that that be heavy armor, but it's just one of those things where I'd rather have it, not need it, than need it, not have it kind of deal. You know how it is. Yeah, so as you can see, it's a heavy bitch. I tried to stop that thing way before I got to the line of ships, so keep that in mind. So if you wanted to ram something, you'd be fine. Anyway, hopping out of this thing here, if I can get it to stop. Most of the stopping thrusters are internal, and they're all smalls. This is just a... let me get the antenna on here. This is just an H2 fuel tanker that is meant to give emergency fuel to a ship that's in need. So let's say you weren't paying attention to your hydrogen and you got this large ship that's now dead in the water sitting out in the middle of the galaxy somewhere. Well, this thing can come in with 3 hydrogen tanks and hopefully get you back going in the right direction until you get to base and maybe even land and refuel. This is just a fighter I was working on. I've worked on so many of them. I forgot I actually left this damn thing here. That's a 234. Pretty useful, except those large hydrogen tanks keep getting hit and explode, and then the damn thing can't fly. But anyway, speaking of flying, let's fly this thing. Pretty fast, smaller scale weight, 525, I believe. I don't know if you've... I actually never tested this. This is really funny to admit this. I kind of feel stupid, but I don't know if a full ship full of hydrogen weighs more. I don't know if hydrogen weighs anything. I feel really dumb. Anyway, moving on to a familiar face some of you might have seen already, but this is the Exorbiter MK2, and I didn't really think I would have to make another little video of this, but seeing as the other one I didn't even fucking move it, like the idiot I am, I figure I would, show you guys that I put the jump drive on there, and I put the other hinges on the other side of the ramp there to make it more stable. And of course, we're gonna go in here and fly the damn thing for once, just to show you guys, what it's capable of. This ship is probably one of the more survival readies of the ones in this lineup, just because of its thruster output and how many hydrogen tanks it has on the inside. I think it has 6 larges underneath the hangar floor, and it's all piped up with generators and all that, and it doesn't use that much fuel because I'm using smalls in most of the vectors, except the upward thrust, which is needed to get you out of any planetary's atmosphere. I don't know why I can't say that when I'm thinking it. I know what it is, I just can't say it when I'm trying to think of it. Anyway, yeah, you guys already know that this ship is only supposed to take smaller ships in and out of planets. It's kind of like the taxi of smaller ships, but what you might have not have noticed from the first video is it does have a drill set in the front that's... See, I'm losing my voice already. That's attached to a piston, and so I'm going to go ahead and set that up. And I've got the piston to a slow extend. I think it's at like a 0.1 or 0.2, so that you could just, turn on the drills and it could start, obviously making a nice feed plunge into the voxels and get the material from it, and then you can move up and down and obviously do your mining from just inside this ship. You don't even have to leave the ship and get in your smaller miners to do the mining. Wow. I guess I've never talked this much in a while. My freaking voice is going like crazy. Anyway, get jumping out of that thing, out of the top airtight doors there that I now made, and we're going to move on over to the TekForge. And this isn't really a combat ship, kind of like the Exorbiter. This is actually a mobile processing center. So what we've got here is a connector on the back, which other ships, like mining ships with raw ores, can connect up to, and it goes straight into these 2 refineries. Yeah, there's actually 2 of them in there. And this ship is actually on an even grid build. I actually don't do that ever, so I thought I might do it since I'm using refineries on this one. It just seemed like it would be kind of, no question about that. It's a pretty obvious reason to do that. But I figured people would want to sneak into the bottom, so I'd put some interior turrets here. People love doing that. I don't know why. They love getting in there and grinding stuff away. Well, good luck now. Anyway, there's a nice little entrance into the side there. I don't know why I did that. I thought I'd add a little bit of flair to this since, it's just a, processing center. You got a medical center there. You got a cargo container there so you can access the cargo of the rest of the ship from the inside here. You got a vent and the cryo bay there, some lockers. Got your jump drive and nicely positioned in the middle there so you have one. You can jump. You're not like, oh, do we have a jump drive? Oh, it's right there. Cool. Anyway, front stopping thrusters tucked behind those fences there. You got your gyroscopes down there. Gravity generators, and you got a little bit of a cockpit situation here. Not really a bridge. I don't think that's a bridge, is it? No. Anyway, moves kind of exceptionally fast for just a processing center. I do believe it has enough small hydrogen tanks to last about 2 hours worth of flight. Because I think there's like at least 32 of them, I think, in there somehow. Yeah, like on the outside walls, I stacked them frickin' things like you wouldn't believe. Or you know what, actually, now that I think about it, I might have actually done large tanks in this, like 6 of them. I know, it's terrible. I'm literally right now contemplating what I did with my build. Here on, let me take a look here. Oh, well, you got the assemblers there. The hydrogen tank. Yeah, it looks like I did do large hydrogen tanks next to the refinery. So, yeah, okay. I can't believe it's literally been like a week since I made this video. I'm just doing the editing now for it. So, anyway, got an ore detector there. A nice little, I figured the tires actually do better than the decoy for drawing enemy fire. I don't know why. They just seem like, oh, look, a moving part. Go for that so we could make them dead in the water. You know how that is. These are all couches, by the way. So in case you pick up any stragglers on the way to your next destination, you could say, hey, hop on. So anyway, this is the Hellion Destroyer. And it is one of my favorite large grid builds so far. Can you guess why? Might it have something to do with the absurd amount of turrets that I've placed on this thing? And thrusters. But I've done some testing against some larger ships. As a matter of fact, some testing against someone called their battleship, and this thing frickin' chewed it apart. I was able to maneuver pretty well. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't the most fair of tests. Mostly because I'm just so much more maneuverable, and I think his guns weren't working, actually. When we were testing, he said something was going on with his turrets, that they weren't targeting me correctly or something. But anyway, inside of this thing, you actually have 2 large hydrogen thrusters, one in the front and one tucked away in there to give this thing extra stopping power. Because I figured maneuverability would be the key speciality of this build here, and it is. It really, really is. 0 to 100 real quick. I don't even know the timing on this stuff. I feel like the timing varies too with how much ammo you have in it, so I'm not going to give stats on that. However, I will leave in the description PCU of all the ships that are in this video, so if you're curious on each ship's individual PCU, I will leave that in here. But this thing has deployable pistons, 6 of them. Deployable decoys, wow, I'm sorry. They're on pistons, that's why I said that. They deploy out, and it makes it so that the missiles that you are facing towards your enemy, they basically barrel around you. So sometimes they like to target the turrets before the decoys, but the idea is to have so many decoys there that the enemy's turrets are just like, oh, look at that, and they shoot on the outside of the ship rather than, just makes it, it's a weird fighting style I've developed, but it works. I sense that it probably could be better. I've seen other people do way better, Luca. But Yeah, that's my attempt at it. This is the Helker ABC Advanced Battle Corvette, or already been chewed. I'm kidding, but no, this is an advanced design, I would say. Besides the external thrusters on the sides there for up and down, all of the thrusters for left, right, forward, and reverse are all tucked away on the inside. You've got like two whole sets, packs. You got like one in the middle and one in the front of just total thruster packs, and I don't know why, but they don't damage each other, so fuck yeah. Pretty well armored. The only way I've seen those thrusters get hurt is if someone got bullets through the bottom landing gear there that you might have saw, but yeah, it's pretty well armored. Not a lot of heavy armor on this, only like I think the center column frame is heavy armor to keep the ship from splitting, but that was done to keep it maneuverable, because even though it's not much heavy armor, the dang thing's still sitting at like 1.24 million. So you got plenty of weight if you wanted to ram into something and cause it to lose its footing. I know we don't have foots in ships. Good job, Jones. You're being stupid again. But alright, we're just going to pop out of this guy here. Airtight. Figured you guys would have noticed that. And jump over to this guy here. This is the Esper Heavy Escort Shuttle. Yeah, what more can I say? It's all heavy armor, and it's got a connector on the piston there to give you some clearance from the back there if you wanted to hook it up to a fueling ship or whatever, you know, to a base that's producing hydrogen, station, whatever. I did test it in planets. Those thrusters do it justice to keep it floating, but you're not getting a lot of maneuverability out of it because it's 1.3 million of heavy armor, and there are 3 forward thrusters tucked behind those 3 exposed thrusters. I like to tuck in my thrusters where I can. I feel like that ends up being like the backup of the thrusters. So yeah, you got your H2O2 generators and crap there, so you can put your bottles in there. You got 2 survival kits, storage container access, interior turret in case someone gets frisky. You got your gyroscopes and 2 cryopays for, you know, VIPs that want to stay on the ship that you're transporting. Oh, I gotta go eat. Okay, get in the cryopod. You know, you know what I mean, VIPs. But yeah, it's not that fast. It'll get you there, but it's not meant to outmaneuver a ship. It's more meant to be like a, I don't know, armored limo, maybe? Is what I was kind of going for here. Space style? Yeah, I don't know. All I do know is it can take a beating. Total beating. Like a whopping. Because, like I said, the whole thing is encased in heavy armor. And matter of fact, this is heavy armor, and on top of that there's heavy armor, so some places it's actually double layered. So, well done, Jones. You made a heavy armor ship that's not completely frickin' useless. Well, might be useless depending on who thinks it's useful for. Anyway, we're just going to run through this one really quick, because it's kind of the same thing as the Helion, just kind of shrunk down to the Concorde long-range torpedo carrier. And they could also carry fighters if you wanted to. You could hook up fighters on those ports or whatever. It's just a carrier, a simple skeletal carrier. I've gone ahead and stacked on 3 gigatons. You could stack on 6, obviously, because you got the 3 on the other side, but you could basically park this thing above someone's base on the moon or in planets. You'd probably want to do it above the atmosphere, so past 40,000. Just because I don't know how much that large thruster on the bottom can carry. I'm guessing up to about 800,000, but depending on the planetary gravity and how much this ship is actually carrying. Plus, as you guys know, having those subgrids hanging off of it act as a whole nother center of mass, so that'll be a lot of weight. So I'm guessing you'll probably want to stay out of orbit to drop those missiles, but you'll have plenty of fuel to get in gravity and actually steer the missile on target, since gravity's 40,000 in most planets, and Wi-Fi range on the things are like 50,000. So anyway, we're just going to end this video here and go to something a little bit funnier. this. My buddy was trying to get me to look at a ODST drop pod that someone made on the workshop, and well, I had Clang happen. Fantastically. Check this out. Rate this if you can. Out of 10 points on a bottle flip scale. Come on. I couldn't have tried to get that any better.